missing hand is a constant reminder of their savage rule. The 16-year-old from the village of Al-Hol, who now cradles a white bandaged stump, says the nightmare began when jihadists accused him of stealing a mobile phone.
They
brought me to the security forces and asked me if I had stolen the phone. I told them that it wasn't me. But after they beat me violently, I told them I had done it, but I hadn't stolen the phone.
Bashar was taken to a jail where he was held with several others, some no older than 10, he says. After 40 days, his captors took him to another location, telling him he was going home, but the worst was yet to come.
They made me sit at a table. I refused to give them my hand, but they hit me. They gave me an injection, and then they grabbed my hand and cut it off. I woke up at the hospital without my hand.
Back home, Bashar's mother was stunned by what had happened.
I didn't have any news from him until the last moment. I didn't believe it. It makes no sense to cut a hand off.
There are many Muslim countries and many Muslim governments where they take the hand of the thief and they amputate his hand when he steals a bag of chips, when he steals $200, when he, for example, is impoverished and needs to put bread on his table, he steals something, they amputate his hand. The entire world witnesses this and says this is a barbaric religion. This person is impoverished.
At first glance, it's just another ordinary surgical procedure. But this is a perfectly healthy man about to have his hand amputated. A convicted cattle thief, he's the first person to be punished under Islamic or Sharia law, now sweeping across the Muslim north of Nigeria. These images, recorded by Sharia activists, keen to display their civilized method of punishment.
We are telling people that, look, this is what God said in His law, and whoever dares to commit offenses against God and against humanity will receive that punishment.
These guys that are saying like, oh, these jihadis are so bad. Muhammad was a jihadi. He waged jihad on many nations, right? He told people to pay jizya for protection of his very own self and his very own army that he had, right? Muhammad himself would go around stealing camels. They like to call it war booty. This is spoils of war, everybody. This is stealing. Muhammad stole, the Muslims stole. They were pirates of the desert, right? They like to steal from people. Yet in Muhammad's very own Quran, or Allah's very own Quran, it says, and for the male thief and the female thief, cut off them their hands as a recompense for what they earned, as an extreme punishment from Allah, and Allah is almighty and all-wise. So, I have one question. If it's really this is the punishment for any thief, or is it just non-Muslims? Because all of Muhammad's companions, they would stay and they would collect war booty, and even Muhammad would keep war booty for himself, such as camels, food, and stuff like that. There's been times where where they had dripping blood on their swords, and they were mad at Muhammad for giving away their war booty to some of the people who became Muslims, right? So they would kill people, steal from their land. If they did turn Muslim, some of the people would get some of the war booty from the land he stole, right? But anyways, right? Muhammad himself was a jihadi. He would wage jihad. He would steal from these people that he would wage war against if they didn't want to pay him jizya. Also in Surah 9, ayah 29, right? Allah basically tells Muhammad to cause terror to the Jews and basically to those that do not believe in Allah, right? And he says very clearly, until they pay jizya, right? Which is protection money from the Muslims. If you want to be not killed by the Muslims, pay them money, is basically what they said. So it says very clear in the hadith of the tafsir of Surah 9:29. It says that Allah has reduced their punishment by giving them the option that they should agree to live as subjects of the Islamic State under the general Islamic legal framework. They may be allowed to remain there against the payment of a nominal amount of jizya, since they would be living there as citizens of a Muslim state, the protection of their life, property, and an honor, will be the responsibility of the Islamic government, and no hindrance will be placed in the observance of their religious duties. The amount thus taken is called jizya. So basically, Muhammad would attack nations and force them to pay jizya. He would attack them till they paid jizya, basically. So yes, he was a jihadi, and he would steal from these people. The same thing that Allah said that if you ever...
Speaker that we're inviting who has these extreme radical views, as you say. These are general views that every Muslim actually has. Every Muslim believes in these things. Just because they're not telling you about it, or just because they're not out there in the media, doesn't mean they don't believe in them. So I will ask you, everyone in the room, how many of you are normal Muslims? You're not extremists, you're not radical, just normal Sunni Muslims. Please raise your hands. Everybody, mashallah, subhanallah. Okay, take down your hands again. How many of you agree that the punishments described in the Quran and the Sunnah, whether it is death, whether it is stoning for adultery, whatever it is, if it is from Allah and His Messenger, that is the best punishment ever possible for humankind, and that is what we should apply in the world? Who agrees with that? Allahu Akbar. Are you all radical extremists? Subhanallah. So all of you are saying that you are common Muslims, you all go to the different masajid Norway, or are you like a specific sect, like the Islam net sect or anything like that? Are you like that? No. Are you like that? Please raise your hand if you like this extreme Islam net sect or anything like that. No one. Allahu Akbar. How many of you just go to these normal masajids in Norway, the normal Sunni mosques? Please raise your hands. Allahu Akbar. So what's the politicians gonna say now? What's the media gonna say now? That we're all extremists? We're all radicals? We need to deport all of us from this country? Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. Takbir! Takbir! Takbir!
To a double amputation for stealing mobile phones and guns. They will each have a hand and a leg cut off after being convicted by a Sharia court in the capital, Mogadishu. It would be the first such double amputation carried out by the rebels who follow strict Sharia law in the parts of South Somalia that they control. Hundreds of residents attended the hearing in North Mogadishu. Armed Al-Shabaab militants were on guard while the accused were chained around their ankles. No date was set for the punishment, which will be carried out after the health of the accused is assessed.
The defendants admitted to the charges brought against them and were sentenced accordingly. Each one of them will have his right hand and left leg amputated publicly.
The punishments already carried out in Kisimayo have shocked many Somalis who traditionally practice a more tolerant form of Islam.
So you're saying that they practice a more tolerant form of Islam prior to the people cutting off hands and feet off of little kids, because that sort of Islam is unbearable, right? Or for barbaric, or for barbarians, right? Well, sadly, this is the Islam that Muhammad followed, right? Muhammad said very clearly that only the recompense for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive in the earth, spreading corruption, that is, they be killed or they be crucified, or be cut off their hands and their feet of opposite sides, or be exiled from the land. That is, for them a disgrace in the world, and for them in the hereafter is a punishment great. By the way, to give context to this ayah, what's happened was in the rocky grounds of Medina, 8 men got this happened to them, basically, alongside having nails being lodged into their eyes like they would brand a cow. They're heated up. So basically Muhammad got these 8 men, to drink camel urine for a week straight, to which they wanted to be healed from their sickness. They sought a miracle from a great prophet they heard of in the desert. They became Muslims. Muhammad wouldn't have helped them until they took the Shahada, which is basically the pledge of allegiance to Islam. So basically he forced them to take that, and then he said, okay, I'll heal you. Go drink my camel urine of the camels that I previously stole and got as war booty. To which they said, this guy's a desert pirate, no prophet of Allah. They fell out of belief, killed the person that was watching over them, so they're basically like slaves, and basically took off with the camels, to which Muhammad got these men taken back to him from sending out his very own Muslims to seek their lives, to which they brought them back to Muhammad. They went to the rocky grounds of Medina. He ordered that all the Muslims be there, to which he had them crucified on the ground, had their hands and feet cut off, and then he had nails lodged into their eyes. They're heated. Like I said, it was like branding a cow. Yeah, this is what Muhammad said the punishment for stealing and spreading corruption in the land is. This is why these people in Nigeria are doing it.
5 men, each with a hand and foot amputated, recover in hospital in the town of Gao in northeastern Mali. The crude punishment was meted out after they were accused of attacking a bus, the latest to fall prey to hardline Islamic law since jihadi rebels and Tuaregs seized power in Mali's north following a coup in the capital Bamako. Gao's Islamic Commission found the men guilty, and the amputations took place on the 10th of September.
What we inflicted upon them was commanded by God, who advised us. It's God who commands us. It's God who created us. He is the one who ends our lives.
The men remain under armed guard and cannot leave the hospital.
So this is in Sahih Muslim, book 17, hadith number 4185. It says in this chapter very clearly, Abu Hurairah reported that Allah's Messenger was saying to the Muslims, let there be a curse of Allah upon the thief who steals an egg and his hand is cut off. It steals a rope and his hand is cut off. Right? So the news anchor, the news lady before saying that, oh, we don't follow this like religion, like we followed a more peaceful version of this religion. They didn't want to follow the religion that Muhammad had to offer to this world, when he said that this was the Sharia law. This is the law to Muhammad, that if you steal, whether it be a man, a woman, a child, or a teenager, cut off their hands, right off. In the religion of peace, this is the most humane way to deal with people who are thieves. In Islam, by the way, everything that Allah says in His Quran and whatever is said in like the Hadith or Muhammad said is basically like, this is the most beautiful way to deal with this sort of punishment, is to cut their hands off. Or Muhammad al-Bukhari, it says Allah's apostle said, Allah's curses the thief who steals an egg or a helmet, or for which his hand is to be cut off, or steals a rope for which his hand is to be cut off. So there you have it. This still goes on today. It was done by Muhammad. This is Islam. There is no I guess extreme Islam. Trump saying his daughter was crazy, then just see what Muhammad said about his very own daughter Fatima. Right? He said, right? It was narrated from Jabir that a woman from Banu stole something, and she was brought to the Prophet. She sought the protection of Salama, but the Prophet said, if Fatima, his very own daughter, bint Muhammad, were to steal, I would cut off her hand. And he ordered that her hand be cut off. So there you have it, folks. Muhammad said that he'd cut his very own daughter's hand off if she were to catch her stealing. But this is just going against Sharia. This wasn't the same response to what he found of his very own wife, Aisha, going against Sharia. She had dolls in the very Prophet's house when she was 14 years old, to which Muhammad, he laughed. The dolls were of a horse with wings, and Muhammad, he laughed at it to where his molar teeth was seen. So this is the response to him saying what he would do if he would catch his very own daughter breaking Sharia. But when he caught his very own wife doing it, he didn't do anything. He laughed like a little bitch. So Muhammad, right? I'd say this is the most disgusting thing about, one of the most disgusting things about Islam is the very fact that Muslims think it's the most beautiful thing to cut off their very own family's hands if they were to steal. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy this video.